Welcome to the Just TV viewers. You're joining us for a special program as we celebrate 50 years of Lakshmi. जिस ब्रांड को आप अपने दिल से प्यार करते हैं, जिस ब्रांड को आपने पिछले 50 years से अपने किचन में, अपने घर में हमेशा स्वागत किया है, आज हम उस ब्रांड को, हाउस ऑफ स्पाइसेस को, लक्ष्मी को सेलिब्रेट कर रहे हैं। एंड मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि उस ब्रांड का फ्यूचर, the face of House of Spices, of Lakshmi, is joining us for this special celebration conversation. I'd love to welcome to our studios Miss Amrapali Soni. Amrapali, it's so good to have you. Officially, you're Chief Operating Officer, but unofficially, you're so much more than that. Your father, Mr. G.L. Soni, started this global brand 50 years ago right here in New York City. I'd love to hear from you, first of all, how you guys are celebrating and what the story of Lakshmi is.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here. To answer your question, we're doing a lot of exciting things, but one thing I do want to talk about is our 50 Years of Lakshmi contest. So we are here today celebrating 50 years because of our customers. In order to say thank you to them, we want them to participate and celebrate with us. So we have a number of products that will be arriving into the market and will be at their local store in about a couple of weeks, I think. I can't say which products, but it's a handful. And what we're doing is there are scratch cards in each of those bags. They can get the scratch card, scratch it off, go onto our website, upload the number that's on the scratch card and figure out if they won. We will have all kinds of prizes. We will have a winner every week. We are very excited. That's one part of it. And the other part is we want to hear from our loyal customers. You know, we want to hear from everyone that's been buying Lakshmi from when we had a store in Jackson Heights to the people that moved away from Jackson Heights and now it's 50 years later and you live in California or you live in Arizona. We want to hear from you. So what we're asking our viewers, we're asking our customers, we're asking anyone who has a story they'd like to share to also go onto our website. There is a very quick link. You just tell your story and you can upload it. And we will be sharing that across all our social media platforms. So if anyone has a story they'd like to share that they remember fondly, we'd love to hear from you. At this time, because 50 years for us is very, very exciting.
So this is the stuff you guys are doing now, right? But as exciting as this is, I still want to hear about the very start of this brand, and it goes all the way back to 1972 with your dad, his brother. It was a family effort right here in New York City. Amrapali, this brand is older than both you and I and most of our viewers, but there are those loyal folks that remember those early days, that remember coming to New York and seeing a little bit of home here for them, and it welcomed them and made them feel like they weren't so far away after all. Tell us about how the brand started and maybe a tribute for your dad.
Okay, there's so many ways to tell the story. I don't even know where to start. But the story of House of Spices and Lakshmi brand starts not with my father, but with my mother. Our father immigrated to America in 1964. He got his master's at University of North Dakota, and he went there. And we always ask him, why'd you go to North Dakota? There were no Indians. Like, what are you gonna eat? He said, I went there because that's the school that gave us the most money, and so I went there for my master's. Got married. My mother finally arrived to America. They lived in Jackson Heights, and he's like, okay, like, I want dal bhat roti shak. Let's cook, please cook me dinner. Yeah. And she said, I'd love to, but I can't find our food. So this is 1970s. In the 1970s, the immigration from Asia had not been in large waves like it was in the 80s and 90s when the policy has changed. It was the beginning of all of it. So he said, okay, I'm going to open up a grocery store. And everyone thought he was crazy. He borrowed money from all his friends, and he found a place, a store, real estate to rent out, and then he needed merchandise. So he had to find someone. We had an uncle in India who knew someone, of course, and that person was able to get us dals and spices and package them and ship it to us in boxes. So my father was like, all right, I found the guy who was going to ship me the product, but now how am I going to get the product? So he had to do all the, understand FDA, how to pay for it, and he had to get money. So he's like, I don't know where to get this money. Walked into Habib American Bank, which many people in our industry and the community within New York and Queens know very well, and across America. Habib American Bank is a foothold in our community. So he walked into Hub Bank and was like, I need to do this. How do I do it? And they said, well, sir, you need to open up a letter of credit. And he's like, I don't know what a letter of credit is. And they explained it to him. So he had no credit. He was, he worked as an engineer in New York. And this was like a side business for him, right? He was just starting it. He still had to have a day job. So fast forward, Habib American Bank and him figured out a way for him to open up this letter of credit, for him to get the merchandise, and then even figuring out how to pick the merchandise up from the dock was a story in and of itself that our father would talk about, how renting a container costed $300 and that was too much. So him and my uncle at the time were like, what do we do? So they're like, what's cheaper? What's the cheapest way to do it? They said, all right, we're going to rent our own van. And I was like, $5. We're going to rent our own van. We're going to go to the dock ourselves and we're going to unload it and load the van up. Next thing you know, they had their merchandise and they started selling spices and dals at that time. And yeah, it all stems from this desire of eating home-cooked food that we all still have today. And, thank God for my mother that she was there to support him. So he was working and our Kumar uncle and Kumar Soni and my mother would work in the store during the day. And our father would come home from his day job and then he would do the deliveries.
This effort, this 50-year journey has so many, folks that contributed to the success of the brand, and I'm sure people that have stood out to you in the time that you were officially part of the company, and even from before, listening to your dad, your family members talk about the key pieces of success, right? The individuals that helped add and bring Lakshmi to where it is today. I'd love for you to share with us a little bit about those team members, especially the ones that have been around for decades, that give Lakshmi that foundation that started with your parents, but is being carried on through various team members today.
So I have a few stories that I'd love to share. And if I leave anyone out, I'm so sorry. But these are ones that really come to my mind because I didn't just start in the business when I joined 15 years ago. I grew up there, right? So our summers were working in the warehouse, whether it was like jumping around on pallets or a story like we have an assistant sales manager for our Northeast area, and she used to pack bay leaves in the warehouse. And from bay leaves, then she went to becoming someone that's on the phone taking orders. And now she's managing our entire Northeast sales team. And we rely on her to hit those numbers. And that's what House of Spices is all about, and Lakshmi, because this company was built on trust, and which is why we ask our customers to trust us. Because even internally, that's the messaging we have. We have our manager in California. She used to be working in the accounting department, doing payables in Flushing 10 years ago. We have people in operations in Orlando who used to be operations in Flushing. So we have different generations. We are in a position, we're in a time now where the people that started with our father have taken us this far, and now, you know, we are training and we're building up this second generation of the company and pivoting it a little bit. But we still have these people that have been with the company for 20 something years.
Yeah.
We have someone who manages a warehouse who used to unload containers.
Wow.
So it is really special to call these people up, and there is nostalgia for me every time I speak to them, and I speak to them in a different way because they saw me as a little child and they saw me grow up. So we are super thankful for the people, and we are here today because of our order makers, because of our pickers, because of our drivers, because of everyone in corporate. We have 72 people in Bombay. We have people. This is a global organization now, and it is. I don't know if our father would be surprised or say, "Yeah, of course it should be like that," but we've added a lot of elements that I hope that he would be proud of today.
Certainly, I think the work that you're doing and the amount of hearts, people's homes that you are a staple in would make your father very proud. It would attest to the hard work that this whole team has put into building the brand up. But you said it, right? There's the team side, and then there are the customers, the loyal customers. Like you said, back in the 70s, New York was a very different place, especially for an immigrant from India that, you know, we take so much pride in our culture and our food and the way we dress and carry ourselves. And to come here and sometimes face obstacles in continuing to do that. But food is the one thing that everyone can unite around. It has a universal appeal, especially Indian food now. I'd love for you to say, you know, a few words to those customers that not only were the early adoptees of Lakshmi, you know, back in the 70s, 80s, 90s, when there wasn't a lot of variety, you know, in general, in places like New York or other parts of America. But even some of the younger folks today that are maybe because of their parents, you know, connected to the brand, or they go to the store and they're like, I know this brand, I'm gonna get Lakshmi products only. Tell us what words you have for those customers that only go with House of Spices.
But I just want to say thank you to all of our customers. We are here today celebrating 50 years because of you. We started with one store in Jackson Heights, Queens, and the one product my father brought to our community was atta. So figuring out how to make wheat flour into atta that was suitable for our South Asian community is something that he built our brand on. And something that, you know, I want to thank all of our customers for is sticking with Lakshmi along that whole journey. Because then we went from atta, then we went to spices, and then you go to dals. I mean, at one time we did shelf-stable naan, which we don't do anymore. We do under a different brand, not Lakshmi. But then we did sharbati from India. Then we added besan, so 100%, you know, chickpeas. So there's a lot of products that our customers, you taste one and then you taste another, and I'm thankful for the trust that they have in us, and I'm thankful for the trust that they're going to hopefully continue with all the new products that we have coming out.
I love it. Whether it's the uncle aunties that want to make everything from scratch, roti, dal, chawal, which I love, you can always cook for me, or folks like myself, I don't know how to make a roti either, unfortunately, but I do enjoy a fresh one or a frozen one when I'm putting it together. So let's take this conversation into the kitchen. Once again, Lakshmi celebrating 50 years of Lakshmi, and the conversation continues. And now we've made our way to the kitchen, because what is Lakshmi if not the central piece of any desi kitchen? I won't even say desi, because so many folks use Lakshmi products these days, Amrapali, that whether it's second generation, whether it's non-Indians married to and in families of Indians, second generation, the brand has really diversified itself. But at the end of the day, we all have a favorite recipe. We all have a favorite Lakshmi product. So I really want to hear from you. Not only are you, once again, the future and the face of the brand, the daughter of the magnanimous Gaya Soni, founder of House of Spices, you're also a user of the product, of course, right? So what do you generally eat or cook when you're making desi food at home?
So I have a secret. I love being in the kitchen. It's after a long day, and I'm sure many of you out there feel the same way, or even you get to come home, you get to just kind of focus on what you're doing, maybe put on music if you want, but you're not thinking of anything else. And I have the most pleasure cooking a meal, and my husband will attest to that. Everything that I'm doing is because it feels so good to serve people food and make them feel full and happy, and food brings us so much joy. So for me, what I cook at home is tandoori chicken. So I'm a big fan of our tandoori paste.
Okay.
It's super simple to use. It's quick. Take the paste, add some yogurt, mix it up. I will add other spices, like a little extra ginger sometimes, a little bit of garlic sometimes, just depending on my mood that day.
Maybe a little bit more mirch.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it kind of just depends, but I'm a big fan of it. Sometimes I will make it at night before I go to bed. I will marinate it and let it sit overnight so it really gets into the chicken. And with the summer season upon us, barbecuing.
Oh, yes.
And then I do take the paste mixture with the yogurt, and before I do add the chicken, I do put some aside. Okay. And when we have friends over, you put some paneer in it. You put paneer in it, and you cut up some veggies, some peppers, some onions, let that marinate also, and then you can pop that on some skewers the next day when you're ready.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Maybe next time we shoot a recipe, we're gonna
Come
bring
to
you.
my house.
Yeah, we're gonna bring you in,
Yes.
because that sounds delicious. You mentioned this product, right? And it's when people think of Indian food, they think of tandoori. But Lakshmi is more than just an Indian brand, right? We're talking South Asia, right? So tell us, we have some products here, but the product lineup of House of Spices is so wide, and it really transcends just India, right? So tell us about that.
When the brand started in 1972, it was it was more Indian desi focused. And we learned it's not just Indians, it's all of South Asia. So if you've noticed on our packaging, we used to have a goddess. We recently, about a year and a half ago, we took the goddess off, and we've kept elements of Lakshmi on our pack, but we're trying to tell our customers and everyone out there, Lakshmi is for everybody.
Okay.
You don't just have to be Indian to eat Lakshmi. So whether you're eating dal, you can be Pakistani, you can be Middle Eastern, you can be Bangladeshi, you could be Indian, you could be South Indian, North Indian, Punjabi, from Bihar, wherever. We're all eating dal. So I just want to let everyone know out there that, it's a South Asian. We are the #1 South Asian brand out there. So no matter what store you're shopping in, you should be able to find Lakshmi products.
Awesome. And once again, you're celebrating 50 years. Give a shout out and let people know how they can connect to this awesome campaign, this celebration on social media.
Hashtag 50 years of Lakshmi. But in a couple of weeks, you're going to get some products that hit the stores, and they're going to have scratch cards in them. Maybe some of the products are showcased today, maybe not. But please go to the store, pick up a bag, and visit us at www.lakshmihos.com. Hit the Know More button, and it will take you to a link where you can upload the scratch card information. You can upload videos to share with us, because we want to hear about your story. and we want to celebrate 50 years of Lakshmi with you.